Shalom, shalom, brother Aaron, regime of Yahusha. And first and foremost, we're going to say, call hello Yahweh, Bashim Yahusha, Bashim Rakakadash. It's all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son through the Holy Spirit. I want to give double honors to the elders and leaders of the nation of Yasha Allah who push and teach this truth and sincerity. I also want to say shalom to the 1/3 men, women, and children who believe wholeheartedly on the scriptures. I want to say shalom to you. Titled this lesson, Babylon is shutting down. There's a lot going on right now currently within this earth, specifically in Babylon, America. And one of the things that we want to focus on today in this lesson is this dock strike that's coming up a little bit less than a week now. Okay, because this can potentially have drastic, like very, very serious effects on the country. Okay, when you talk about potential mass food shortages because of shipments and products in general not coming in. Okay, this is playing to what the prophecy talks about. Okay, building up onto famines. Okay, shortages and things of food, and also which leads to what? You got shortages of food and people can't have access to water and food. Okay, when the Bible talks about neighbor against neighbor. Okay, violence. Okay, as it talks about in 2nd Ezra, searching that house with the sword for lack of bread and great tribulation. All right, so if they don't get this thing resolved, okay, these ports, docks shut down because these workers going on strike, that's going to have very serious effects. Okay, but it's all tying into prophecy. All right, so let's open up with a video.
The nation's consumer supply chain faces severe disruptions if dock workers at ports along the East and Gulf Coast go on strike. A deadline is fast approaching. CBS's Tim McNicholas is in Jersey City, New Jersey, with details and possible fallout. Tim, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. The U.S. Maritime Alliance has until October 1st to reach a deal with dock workers. And ports like this one in Jersey City, New Jersey are ramping up work in anticipation of a possible stoppage. Work at some of the busiest ports in North America could soon come to a halt.
When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down.
The union, which represents more than 40,000 longshoremen at 36 ports, including major hubs like Charleston, Houston, and Miami, is demanding wage increases as well as protection from job-killing automation.
I've been fighting automation for years. They destroyed L.A.
Workers are threatening to strike if a new labor agreement with shipping companies represented by the United States Maritime Alliance is not reached by October 1st.
All activity in the Port of New York and New Jersey with regards to containerized cargo and automobile cargo will cease.
Each year, more than $200 billion worth of goods, including car parts, construction materials, and produce pass through the Port of New York and New Jersey alone. That trade supports more than 500,000 local jobs.
A 2-week strike could, cause these disruptions to feed into early 2025.
Ryan Sweet with Oxford Economics says if a deal isn't reached in time, a stoppage could disrupt more than half of U.S. shipping traffic.
This is going to be very disruptive to the U.S. economy.
In a statement to CBS News, the U.S. Maritime Alliance says it has not been able to schedule new bargaining sessions with the union, adding the only way to resolve this is to resume negotiations. Jerika.
Tim McNicholas in Jersey City.
Okay, so they are striking for higher wages and also something else that's going on, this whole technology thing going into AI replacing a lot of jobs and taking over jobs. Okay, it's happening everywhere. I know they got a huge push, okay, that's starting with this trucking industry and a lot of customer service jobs and things of that nature. Okay, so unless they get higher wages, okay, and they push back on this whole technology thing, meaning AI taking over jobs, machines, okay, they're going to go on strike, okay, in less than a week. So that's all tying into prophecy. Okay, as this place shuts down, more and more retail stores going out of business, more banks closing down. Okay, you got billionaire investors that's pulling out all of their monies, liquidating everything. Okay, which ultimately is all written in the scriptures, prophecy. Okay, part of Babylon slowly shutting down. Okay, a transition going from this hard dollar, the Federal Reserve dollar note, into what, the digital system. Okay, blockchain digital system, ultimately all the way leading up to Revelations 13, 15, and 16, that mark, or what the Bible refers to as the mark of the beast. Okay, so your global elite is really behind this agenda, okay, ultimately bringing in their new world order. Okay, they need this place as we know it to pretty much shut down. Okay, businesses, foreclosures, bankruptcies, companies going out of business. That way, what they could bring in their system under this new world order, this whole digital system. But ultimately, at the top, it's the will of the Lord. Okay, the Most High is controlling everything. Okay, ultimately, taking this place down. All right, so let's get Isaiah 19 and 8. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brook shall lament it, and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. Okay, so spread nets unto the waters. Okay, that's going into, when it says fishermen spread nets, that's going into workers. Okay, when you cast a net into something, you expecting what? A return. Just like actual fishermen cast their net to the sea, what you expect to catch fish, food in return. So in general, this fishers is going into what? Your different employees, different workers. Okay, meaning that return, the work from their labor, okay, the things that they're sowing, okay, their work and things of that nature, they're not going to reap a harvest. Okay, this is why companies starting to shut down. All of these things, you're starting to see more companies take strike workers. Okay, if you can't meet this cost of living, increase our pay to meet the cost of living, what? We're not going to work. We're going on strike. Okay, and this is happening more and more often throughout the United States, and not only United States, but the world in general. Okay, so this is what this is going into. Let me read it again. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brook shall lament it, and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. Verse 9, moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave nets shall be confounded. Same thing, working in fine flax and weaving nets, that's going into your labor force. Okay, they're going to be confounded. What? Because it's not going to be any return. They cast those nets, you putting out work. Okay, looking what? Reap what you sow, get the rewards of your labor. All that's is starting to be taken away now. Okay, it's all starting to shut down. All right. Also, let's read down a little bit. Something else I wanted in that. 14. The Lord had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in her vomit. So what is that spirit when it says the Lord had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof and caused Egypt to err in every work thereof? They can't do nothing right now. From your political standpoint, all the way down to companies, corporations, banks. This is why, once again, banks are foreclosing. Okay, major corporations that's been in power, okay, for years and years, can't keep it together. Even on the political front, like I just said, seems like the wisdom is being taken away. Okay, politicians, nobody has an answer to what's going on. From the highest person on the totem pole, okay, your president, people behind the scenes, politicians, that's the Lord mingling that perverse spirit. Okay, that whole, make America great again. And as the scripture tells us, what? It can't be fixed. He can't be fixed or helped. All right, let me get that real quick there. Jeremiah 51, and I think that's about 8. Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let her go, everyone into his own country. And this is what's starting to happen now. See, a lot of these people that's traveled to America to become rich, these other nations, your Chinese, your Arabs, Indians, okay, they've all came here with it in hopes to make a better life, that whole American dream. Now they're realizing, hey, this place is shutting down. Okay, that American dream is becoming a nightmare now. Okay, it's not what it used to be 40, 50, 60 years ago. Okay, so now you have these other nations that's starting to liquidate everything. They're starting to cash out, pack up shop, go back to their countries. Okay, so people not fleeing here to this place like they once were. Okay, people starting to return back to their own homelands because the Lord is shutting it down now. All right, verse 9 again. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay, so all of that, like if you hear the people without understanding, you go to a lot of these Christian churches back in the day, they be, well, pray for the country, pray for your nation. Well, that's because they don't understand prophecy. Okay, so that's what it's saying. There's no healing, there's no help in this place, because ultimately that's the hand of the Lord that's taking it down. Forsake her, let everyone go into his own country, for her judgment reaches into the heavens and is lifted up into the skies. See that? So let's go back to Isaiah 19. This is Isaiah 19 and 14 again. The Lord had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man is staggering in her vomit, meaning all over the place. You ever seen a drunk man gets drunk too much? He going back and forth, teetering, tottering all over the place. Well, that's what this place looks like in the spirit, meaning it's not stable. It's unstable, no foundation, nothing is working anymore. Verse 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or the tail, the branch or the rush may do. See, so that work is going into jobs, the labor force, okay, it's starting to thin out now, okay, more mass layoffs all around this country, okay, harder than ever to become employed. Like we mentioned ago, jobs constantly starting to shut down all of a sudden. Let me see some. Thought I saved it. I'm going to play this real quick because this is going into the truck drivers, right? And how they taking all of these truck driver jobs away. One moment.
It's 18-wheelers designed to carry all sorts of cargo, but one thing they won't be carrying is a driver. By the end of the year, Aurora tractor trailers are expected to begin cruising the highways hauling freight between Dallas and Houston. To avoid crashes, the self-driving semis outfitted with 25 sensors, including lasers, radars, and cameras. Within the next 4 years, Aurora said it and its competitors expect to put thousands of these trucks on the road, but the CEO with the company touting safety demonstrated the truck's ability to weave through obstacles and avoid pedestrians.
We're going to be out there with thousands or tens of thousands of trucks on the road. And to do that, we have to be safe.
A new federal safety regulation will require all the cars and trucks be equipped with automatic emergency braking or AEB systems, which use sensors to hit the brakes to avoid a crash when the driver fails to. Most new vehicles already have some of these automatic braking forms that the automakers have until 2029 to adopt with these new standards.
All right, so this is going to completely take over the trucking industry. Okay, the trucking industry has made up a huge part of the American economy. Okay, it's provided hundreds of thousands of jobs. Okay, so in the upcoming maybe couple of years, okay, that's gonna completely be taken away due to this AI thing. Okay, AI is gonna completely take over the trucking industry, not just the trucking industry, but even a lot of your old warehouse, hardcore labor jobs in general. Okay, is gonna completely be taken over. So what is this gonna lead to? Okay, more and more confusion, more homelessness. Okay, more crime. Okay, all going into ultimately leading up in what the Bible refers to parts of Jacob's trouble. All right, so if there's no work for the people, you know, what are they going to turn to? All right, it's showing you a more crime. Okay, things are going to increasingly become more wicked. Then you got wide open borders right now. Okay, so more situation with these migrants, more crime is already increasing. Got race wars on the verge of breaking out all across the country. Okay, so you see how prophecy is still shaping up. Everything that the Bible talks about, okay, is coming to pass, and it's coming to pass swiftly. All right, let's get Ecclesiastes 12:3. Let's pick it up from the top. Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. In other words, seek the Lord now. Get to know the Most High now before all this hell really do break loose. You know, rather than trying to call on the Lord at the last minute, okay? You should be seeking, learning, and calling upon the Lord now. Verse 2. While the sun and the light and the moon and the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Who are the keepers of the house? Okay, those are the ones in power, control right now. International bankers, your global elitists. And the strong men shall bow themselves. The strong men is going into military. All right. And the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the street when the sound of the grinding is low. Now the doors shut in the street and the sound of the grinding, once again, that goes into the title. What we saying, this place is shutting down. Okay, foreclosures, store closures. Okay, the grinding being low, the grinding is going into what? In ancient times, you had the like the mill workers turning all around the big wheel, grinding wheat, things of that nature. So that represents labor, your labor force. Okay, low, meaning mass layoffs, no jobs. Okay, AI has taken over everything. The things that AI hasn't taken over, guess what? Those are going to be given either migrant people that's not even from here. Okay, so it's ultimately just showing you that labor, that workforce is what is disappearing. Okay, it's completely shutting down. Verse 4 again, and the door shall be shut in the street when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall raise up at the voice of a bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Raising up at the voice of the bird would go into what? Like your alarm clock. You get up for work in the morning, okay? Ancient times, are just like in the country, okay? Use like birds, roosters, you know, cock-a-doodle-doo. The sun is up, getting up for work. And the daughters of music shall be brought low. This is what you see happening now in your entertainment industry. See where they got everybody distracted with P. Diddy? And it's not just P. Diddy, but you see all these record execs, all these music people that's stepping down, these top publishers of these music companies and top music executives, they all stepping down at one time. And people deceive, they thinking they got something to do with P. Diddy finna rat everybody. I know. That's just this place in general is shutting down. Okay? P. Diddy just a smoke screen. That's something to keep everybody distracted from the real issue, like we talking about this thing, this big strike, for one example, that's coming up on October 1st. If they can't get this thing resolved, they shut down these borders. Okay? That's gonna affect a lot of stuff. Okay? You talking about food shortages and things of that nature. Okay? In fact, let me play. I got another video, short little video I want to play on it. Here we go. I'm gonna play about maybe about 3-4 minutes of it.
One of the biggest strikes we've seen in recent years. But it could have a monumental impact on our economy simply because it puts supply, and they're fighting for a substantial increase, okay? And I want to address that in just a minute. But what you need to keep in mind is that about 45,000 dock workers are potentially going to go on strike. This could be one of the biggest strikes we've seen in recent years. But it could have a monumental impact on our economy simply because it puts supply chains at risk. Now, I want to show you something. Okay? It says looming U.S. ports strike threatens fresh supply chain crisis. The United States has just come off a crisis because of COVID, but we could be going right back to it. Now, I want to show you this. Okay? It says the International Longshoremen's Association says its 25,000 members will walk off the job if the union does not come to an agreement with the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents carriers and maritime terminal operators before their contract expires on September 30th. The contract covers all ports between Maine and Texas, including New York, Savannah, Houston, Miami, New Orleans, and there's a few others in there as well. It says they receive 71% of the country's containerized port volume, and their closure would have a devastating impact on the U.S. economy. A coalition of 177 trade groups warned last week. Now, here's the reason why this would be such a big deal. Okay, I want to show you these numbers right here. It says, with over 45,000 dock workers involved in the dispute, here's one of the things I just want to get out of the way. There's up to like 85,000 that they represent, but as far as how many people are going to go on strike, we do not know for sure. The expectation is anywhere between 30 and 45,000. Okay, that's why these numbers are somewhat misleading. It says, with over 45,000 dock workers involved in the dispute, the economic consequences are staggering. These workers, represented by the ILA, have been pushing for a 77% wage increase over the next 6 years, along with protections against automation in the industry. Currently, union workers earn a base pay of $39 per hour, translating to roughly $81,000 per year. Here's the economic fallout. Experts estimate that the U.S. economy could face a daily loss of up to $3.7 billion if the port worker strike goes forward. Now, this is going to impact about 49% of all U.S. imports that effectively pass through these. But that $3.7 billion, they say it's up to that. Well, there's even reports saying that this could cost $5 billion per day. $5 billion. That is a staggering number. Now, I bring all this to your attention because of one thing. If we see a supply chain crisis kind of rear its head, especially right before the election and right before the holiday season, this is going to cause additional upward inflation. Inflation has come down to 2.5% off its peak of 9.1. That's great, but the concern is we see a rebound of inflation. That's the concern, because right now, what just happened? Well, the Federal Reserve decided to cut interest rates by 50 basis points. A lot of people were very excited about that because now it's easier to buy a car, easier to buy a home. Their credit card rates might not be as high and things like that. But what does this do? Well, it causes more people to go buy a car, go buy a home, open up a new line of credit and spend. Guess what? That causes additional inflation. By that causing additional inflation, and then on piggybacking onto a supply chain crisis, potentially because of this strike of the International Longshoremen's Union or Association, this could mean even more upward pressure. Think about that for a second. We're heading into a time where we normally do see prices rise because it's a holiday shopping season. More people are spending money. Makes sense. But that, along with this potential strike, which would cause supply chain issues, and with the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates, that's concerning. That is extremely concerning. Now, I bring all this to your attention.
So let me stop it right here. That brings a scripture to my spirit. Now, when he talks about this supply chain thing, say they do go on this strike, and they saying 1 day of strike would back things up like 7 days. Okay, 2 days, we talking 2 weeks up into a month, okay, of being backed up. Okay, so that's shipment from your stores, and this is pretty much all your major ports. Okay, so from Texas to Florida, okay, on the East Coast, specifically the East Coast, okay, and the West Coast, because you hit the most. Okay, but you talking, this is playing into some serious, shortage, okay, long-term shortages, on top of what? Hyperinflation going up. All right, so real quick, let's hit Revelations 6 and 5. If things not already expensive enough. So this is the last thing, okay, that people would need through this hyperinflation. Okay, good thing if you're looking through the spirit, because prophecy must come to pass. Okay, before the kingdom could come, everything that's written must be fulfilled. But, in the natural, okay, that's the last thing people, more expensive prices. But, it's all written of. So Revelations 6 and 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sitteth upon him had a pair of balances in his hand. Okay, balances represents judgment. Okay, or a scale, like in ancient times, when you deal with buying and selling, the person who was selling would have like balances or scales, and they would sit the product on. So a pound, say for the things were mostly sold in measurements, say like a pound of whatever you wanted. Okay, it was weighed on one side. Okay, and according to how it balanced out. All right, so this is why the verse is using this verbiage when it's going into balance and things of that nature. So verse 6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil or the wine. All right, so let's take a deeper look at verse 6 when it says, I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil or the wine. The oil of the wine is going into the elect. Okay, the Lord will preserve and protect his chosen through this. But I want to go to the blue letter. Okay. So, okay, it says a measure. Let's look this up. A clonix, a dry measure containing 4 clothes or 2 certeri. That's how they pronounced it in ancient times or whatever. Or quart or 1 liter. So like we were saying, it's a measurement of something or whatever you was purchasing in ancient times. It was done in measure. Or as much as would support a man of moderate appetite for a day. Okay, so a measure of wheat for a penny. So basically what that's saying, say like in ancient times, whether it was a dinar or whatever currency that was used during that time, okay, well, that would be equivalent of like a day's wage as today. So when it says right here, when it goes into or as much as would support a man of moderate appetite for a day. So you know how much the average person may eat in a day. So whatever you would make in a day, whatever your day's wage would be, that's 1 meal, what it's saying. Okay, so say a whole day's wage just to eat one time. Okay, when this hyperinflation kick in. Now, right here is saying, or as much as would support a man of moderate appetite for a day. Now, suppose you have a family. Okay, so suppose you have, let's say, a wife. Let's add, maybe 1 or 2 kids to that. So if that wage will support only one man with a moderate, not a big appetite, okay, so what your day's wage for one man that has a moderate appetite, so you add a family or a whole household to that. So what is that basically showing you? The average person won't even be able to afford to eat for a day. All right, so let's go back. Revelation 6:6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil or the wine. All right, so that's going into that hyperinflation. So if this thing actually kicks off, this strike, this port strike, if they really go on strike and things, we think things are expensive now, so you're really finna see that inflation pick up. All right, let me play a little bit more of this video.
Attention, okay? A lot of people have been asking so many different questions, like, is it really going to happen? How long would this go on for? And all this stuff. But here's what I can tell you. There has been discussions that the federal government could easily step in and say, no, you are not going on strike. We do not allow that to happen at this time. Because why would they want one of the biggest maritime unions to go on strike? Especially right before an election, 1 month before an election? They don't want that. They absolutely don't want that. So the federal government could easily step in, but that's going to cause all these workers to be upset. Because now they're being forced to go back to work. Again, they're asking for a 77% wage increase over the next 6 years. Remember, and I've talked about this over the past week or two, they're actually...
Now, ultimately, what's going the end game, ultimately, your government, however it's regulated, whether it be government or right now, I think as we speak, they had a meeting within this last week, the United Nations, okay, on the World Economic Forum, pretty much to turn over the sovereignty of all states over to, this World Economic Forum, which means that would take away your constitution, everything, okay? These global elitists would be literally controlling all your rights, everything, okay? That's actually what they were meeting about this week. So ultimately, things are going to get so bad, the average citizen is going to start crying out for help. You're starting to see it now. Okay, people getting evicted all over the place. I need to do something about this. Somebody need to fix this and get the right people. So ultimately, it's called order out of chaos. Things are going so much chaos and things are going to get so bad, people's going to start screaming for the solution. And guess what? They're going to step in with the solution. Okay, well, hey, we need to go to this blockchain, this digital currency, which ultimately leads to what we talked about earlier, that mark, that chip, the Revelations 13, 15, 16, the mark of the beast. Okay, but they can't get to that point unless what? Things become so chaotic, so confusing. See, right now, your average person that's outside of this prophecy, don't have the knowledge of the Lord, don't know what's going on according to prophecy, they're confused. Total confusion is over this earth right now. People trying to figure out, keep it together, when is it going to get better? See, so ultimately, yeah, they are going to step in with their solution, but it's not going to be what the people think. People are going to be begging for help, that solution, okay? But it's only leading to their end game, okay? Which is, that mark. All right, let me play a little more.
Past week, because we're just now stepping into the second week of the Boeing strike. But the Boeing machinists, they're asking for a 40% wage increase over 3 years. But Boeing only wants to give them like a 25% wage increase over the next 4 years. So we're going to see what happens, but the one thing I can tell you is if we see this strike happen on October 1st, this could be devastating to the U.S. economy and to millions and millions of people. So the one thing I can promise you is I will be here every step of the way, and I'll fill you in.
All right, let's get a couple more scriptures. Let's get Haggai 1 and 11. And I will call for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, upon cattle, upon all the labor of the hand. Okay, so going into your workforce, okay, your crops, your harvest, things that's grown, you see that now, even with things drying up. Okay, what Esau refers to climate change or global warming. Okay, the earth is getting hotter. Okay, your Euphrates River, the Nile, all these things are drying up. So, okay, your fishes in the sea and the river starting to be washed up, dead in the sea. Things are not growing, not harvesting, not producing like it used to. So this is all part, okay, that famine that's coming up on the land. Now you add that, you couple that with what's going on, like we say, these mass layoffs, unemployment, companies foreclosing, shutting down. Okay, all of this is what we seeing through the scriptures. This is the Lord ultimately at work that's doing all of these things. Okay, Psalms 107 and 34. See, now you're starting to understand Ecclesiastes 12 and 1 a little more when it says, seek your creator now. Okay, in the early years before the evil day. Well, that's what that's going into. Like these lessons, this understanding the word, the prophecy, understand that now. Okay, Isaiah 33 and 6, wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of that time. Strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. This wisdom is what preserves and keep you. See, we're in the know. See, seek your creator now before this evil day so you won't be like the rest of the world. What's going on? What do we got to do? Tell me what to do. Tell me where to go. No, you already know what's up because the Spirit is leading and guiding you. What? Because you took the time to seek the Lord. All right. So Psalms 107 and 34. Let's start at 33. He turneth rivers into a wilderness and the water springs into dry grounds. Okay. Go look up the Euphrates River, the Red Sea. Okay. The Lord is drying all this stuff up. A fruitful land into barrenness for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. So this one big fruitful place was once the most, richest, powerful, fruitful land in the world. Okay, the Lord is drying it up. Okay, completely barrenness from all these different angles, all these different aspects. Okay, nature, the crops ain't yielding like it used to. Okay, the companies shutting down. Foreclosure, all of this happening at one time. Okay, this is the Lord turning that fruitful land into a place of barrenness. All right, let's get 2nd Ezra 6 and 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. See, that's your the storehouses, that's your stores, markets, grocery stores. That's all this stuff that's closing down, that's shut down. Okay, all over America. Okay. It's shutting down, going out. You're not going to be able to place that was those storehouses and the place that was once found sown suddenly becoming empty. Okay, that's not having access to things that you used to. Not being able to move is freely. Go to the store, get this and get that. Okay, going into shortages. All right. Let me read it again. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound. What's that? That's the prophets prophesying. Okay, ancient times they will blow a trumpet, the watchman. Trouble, warning, warning, warning. They blow that the certain sound of the trumpet, let the people know what's coming. Well, that's what we blowing out through the Spirit. See, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall suddenly be afraid. Or when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. And that times shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Going into your water supply. Okay, all of these things being turned off and drying up, your food and water supply being shut off. All right, but it was all tying into prophecy. So we'll keep our eye on what goes on this next 5-6 days. Okay, by October 1st. But if they do take strike, okay, that, like I say, that's gonna affect a lot of things. Okay, so nothing wrong with stocking up on certain things while you can, but ultimately it's the Spirit of the Lord who preserves and protects us. Okay, so we do what we can in the natural. Okay, the Lord told us to pray and watch. So it's wisdom. We you can afford to get some extra things. You do that, but ultimately we know it's not it's not man. It's not extra protection, food, and all those things. It's the Lord that keeps and preserves us. All right, so let me see if I get one more clip before we get out of here. Just going into these foreclosures, stores shutting down and all of that. I ain't gonna worry about it. I gotta get another device or something to be able to pull up and say these videos a little easier. But I'm dealing with all that foolishness. But we gonna go ahead stop it right there. I was gonna go into just a couple of more TikTok clips to just show store closures of 2024, but you got all these stores, okay, that's been around forever, they're just shutting down left and right. All these companies, all of these businesses. So that's always showing you through the prophecy, right? This is the Bible speaking prophecy coming to pass. Okay, so let's keep our spirits close to the Lord. Okay, continue to study, pray, fast, and keep the faith most of all. All right, but anyway, that's been Babylon is shutting down. I pray that this lesson has been edifying. Until next time, we're going to say shalom. We out.